Are you ready? Hey. Well, get ready. Hey. Are you ready? Hey. Well, get ready. Hey. Are you ready? Hey. Well, get ready. Hey. Are you ready? Hey. Well, get ready. Hey.
Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? Hi guys, welcome to Live with Kairos. We are talking about blended and married tonight, and I am overjoyed to have my guest here. If everybody would take a second to like and share, send this to someone that you know, someone that you love, post it on your page. I'm believing that this is really going to be a game changer for a lot of families. And just really help save some marriages tonight, hopefully right before Valentine's Day. So yes, we have the Wilsons on here with us, and I love them. They are a long time family or friends who became family, and I'm thankful for Jermaine and Sharita Wilson. We have Lulu, my girl up here, Asia. She is missing her, or Harvey, I'm sorry, excuse me. She's missing her hubby tonight, but Tremaine will be in the comments, so I'm excited to see what he has to say. And then last but certainly not least, we have Deacon B, my parents, and Pastor Kairos here, who have a lot of wisdom. Everyone that is on the panel tonight, including myself, have a bit of experience with blended families, and so please send in your questions and comments in the comment section, and we will be answering live tonight, and we're excited about our live audience. So how's everybody doing?
Good.
Great.
Good. Okay, so I want to jump right in. Has everybody had good experiences with blending families? Like, if everyone could just touch on that and tell me, you can tell me the good and bad, but it's people's reality. The later you date, the later you wait, or if you're been married and then divorced or separated, this is a reality for a lot of people who are meeting individuals where they may have kids, or you may have kids and come into a relationship, and you have to figure out those dynamics. And so I'm excited to hear everyone's take. Lulu, I know backstage we were talking trash. Tremaine, don't get her when you get home. But Lulu, what was something that kind of took you by surprise when when you got married with Tremaine and, having kids? What was your experience like?
What took me, I didn't expect that we would have two like complete different ways of disciplining our children.
Okay.
So he would discipline a certain way and I discipline a certain way. And so that was really tough. That was a hard, that was a hard time, because you want to believe that initially the person you're with loves your children. And although you may believe that, a little bit in you is always trying to protect them because that's not their real father, or vice versa, real mother. So for me, it was difficult, very difficult, because I had to learn how to really trust him. I trusted him with me and my feelings, but I didn't trust him to raise my children, I guess, the way that I felt he should be raising them, and not the way he felt he should raise them. But in reality, the truth is that we had to bring both our ways in and figure out how we can kind of like, still halfway in the middle, and this is how we're going to do things. So a lot of my stuff changed, a lot of his stuff stayed, but mine could have used a little tweaking. So I wasn't upset about it.
When you say his stuff stayed, what do you mean?
So the way he would discipline me personally, I'm a yeller. I scream. I was like, he's more of like a talker, or he'll like discipline them. I remember a couple of times he's like, when my son on my son from Tremaine's side would be in trouble, and Tremaine, I never saw him discipline. I'm like, you're not even teaching him, you're not even trying. But he was that person that take the child out of the environment and discipline at that point. But he's not disciplined like with anger. He's disciplined like talking to them, giving them scenarios, teaching them how, why this is wrong and what can happen, and giving them consequences. Me, I'm ready to smack, yell at that point. And he wasn't. He wasn't the person that raised his hand or his voice. I raised my
Wow.
hand and my voice.
That's good. That's good. Okay. So, so you found that his methods were worked a little bit better.
I would say so. Even
Okay.
listening to my oldest son tell me like he respected Tremaine more when Tremaine spoke with him instead of like me raising my hand and all that stuff. So yes, I
Mm,
Tremaine's ways were better than my
okay.
ways. And so I tried to, adapt. It took me a minute not to yell, but I'm still learning.
Okay. 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 So, that's really good actually. And later on, we're going to come in with some advice on how to kind of maneuver through those situations. Indy actually has a question. Indy Lewis. Hey, Indy Lewis. She said, "How has it been?" And Sharita and Jermaine, if you guys would take a dip in this one. She said, "How has it been dealing with a baby mama or baby daddy who doesn't respect your position in the child's life as a step parent?"
Well, in my situation, I don't know that Jermaine's baby mama did, didn't respect my position. I never got that sense. For me, it was me trying to find my place and like where I fit in and not wanting to, overstep my boundaries, recognizing that
Mm,
I'm not the child's mother and trying to figure out, how do I navigate, helping to raise this child and guide her, even though I'm
yeah,
mother. And I never wanted to be her mother. And so my
gotcha.
situation was a little bit different because first of all, like you were saying a little bit earlier, Lulu, I never had any intentions of dating anyone with a child. I had never really thought about it. And then I didn't have any children of my own. So
Okay.
of course my mindset was I certainly don't want to really deal with anybody else's. So so it was a little bit different in terms of me just trying to find my place. I never really felt disrespected, but I do feel like my interactions with the mother were very limited. I kind of stepped back and I let Jermaine
Mm.
do the interacting, with the mother until the child was old enough where I could deal with her directly. So
Oh, I love that.
in terms of baby mama drama, we
Mm.
had a little bit, just a little bit,
Okay.
a situation when Jermaine and I first got married, and we were able to work through that. And
Wow.
after that, it was pretty much, smooth sailing.
Jermaine, what are your thoughts on it? Like, kind of having to navigate and be somewhat the middleman, because I know that's a lot of pressure to try to figure out the dynamics because you want to protect your child. You also, in a sense, I would think, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, would like to protect your relationship with your child's mother too, because you don't want that to be an issue legally or not being able to spend time and parent. So how was that for you?
So it's funny. Starting out, I think when we were dating, it really wasn't really an issue.
Okay.
And Rita said once we got married, there was a little issue there, but again we worked through it. But it was tough
Mm,
because obviously I want to be there for my child, be able to see her as much as possible,
right.
but also I got a fiance, a wife. Obviously, that we're starting a marriage. We need to be together. So it's a lot
Yeah.
of communication. It's really knowing also that Sharita, has my best interest at heart, my daughter's best interest at heart. She
Good.
loves her. So, and I knew how she felt about her. Yeah, I don't think she was just thrilled to have a stepdaughter, but I think I
Right.
understood she loved her. I guess she allowed me to handle, situations with her mother. But I was upfront with everything that I did.
That's good.
I didn't hide anything. Well, I know that maybe at the beginning a little bit, but just from being serious, from being, I can't
Tell the truth.
but it wasn't really to be sneaky or anything like that.
Right.
It was really just to kind of protect her and just keep the peace, I guess.
Make
if
it
it makes sense.
easy.
Make it easy
I
for me.
love that.
It could be tough. It could be. It was tough, but again, like Sharita said, especially when they're young, it could be tough a little bit. But as they get a little older, being able to kind of do more communicating with her directly, that came to be a bit easier a little later on.
So and I know that this may sound a bit taboo, and some people are like, you need to tell people stuff right up front, but everybody, like my dad says all the time, everybody can't handle the truth, and so you don't really know what truth can send someone over the top and in that moment. And so like you're saying it now, so clearly it came out, clearly you all had conversations, but there's wisdom in knowing when and when not to say something, because you really don't know with too much information but lack of wisdom on what to do with the knowledge that you've learned could really make you miss out on a blessing. And so I admire that, and I don't know that I would call it lying instead of saying, okay, well, let's talk about that at a later date. There's contracts that people read that you're signing, and the higher you go, like a contract for someone who's coming in at level 1 isn't going to be as extensive, because that information is not needed, even though that's something the company does. So then you get to level 2, and maybe your contract is a little bit more extensive, and you need to know a little bit more, and you're more privy to certain things, and it's important at that level. So I think that that's wisdom. And I know, look, Deacon B is definitely agreeing with keep the peace. Look at how he looked at me, Pastor Kairos.
He's
So-
a man of secrets.
Oh, Daddy, don't let her talk to you like that, Deacon B, and try to call you, say you ain't upright now. Don't stand for that.
She can't
Don't
help it.
stand for. Well, so how did you and Pastor Kairos navigate with my brother, whom I love and I'm crazy about, Brian? How did y'all navigate that? I wasn't born yet, so how did y'all
Let me
handle
just
that?
start off
situation?
saying
Oh,
we
geez.
were dating, we broke up, and bam, he had a baby. So now we go forward. Go ahead.
Okay.
Well,
Ow.
the truth of the matter is, my timeline is correct. We were definitely not together when this happened.
I said we weren't. I said
Yeah,
we
I just say
broke up.
now. So she said now. Anyway,
Well, what did she say before?
oh, she said we were together. Oh, no. You was
We
out there
weren't
doing some
together.
wrong stuff. And that was not true.
We're gonna
really
have that on a different day. Let's go. We're gonna do on a different day. We gotta
Yeah.
bring up. That's a different day. We got.
I'm not gonna do it to her. I'm not gonna do that. So look.
Do it to me, do it to yourself.
So anyway, that was truly, it was really no bad ill feeling toward the child. It was only because of me, because they felt, sometimes when you're dating, you feel that you're not really apart long enough to say, okay, I'm gonna go out here and do something different.
Okay.
With me, once you say we're done, or I say we're done, it's free game. You do what you want to do, but that's
You're
not all.
still going in that direction. She's trying to get you to
I'm-
move
I'm-
past
I'm
it.
No,
moving
it's okay. Go ahead. You can tell that part. You can tell
I'm
that.
getting past that. Yeah.
It's the first testimony.
But then
Now,
once
I
the
just
child,
overcome.
once my oldest son arrived, everything was a little smoother, and I always made sure that whatever someone else got, he would get. And she came along with the game. First, she was showed a little resistance, but never towards him, just towards me behind the doors. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, this gonna have to be right. There was times when I got to do like your brain said. I mean, I couldn't tell her everything. So at one time I was gone, just taking some milk and formula over there, right?
Diapers.
Over your diapers over to the baby house, right?
Don't put me in it, church. Don't put me in it.
Stay free. Stay free. Stay
Like
free.
you said.
Church.
So look, I already knew if I told her where I was going again,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a problem. So I
Okay.
said, I'm gonna go ahead on over there, give it the diapers, give it the milk, say hey to my son, keep it moving. Next thing I know, here come a little car pulling up. Went straight downhill, because she can't handle the truth, And it wasn't about the son, it was about the baby mama. And my thing was with my son, little Brian's mom, I told her, well, look, I said, all I want you to do is buy him socks, underwear, and feed him everything else I got. You know what I mean? So not take me in front of the man, because I'm a man. I already know how to handle my son, and I knew what it takes to take care of.
So not to take you for child support. So you guys have an arrangement.
So you have to have that kind of relationship. Some of these young guys out here now, they just want to buck the system, but you have to gain the trust. They have to know what kind of person you are to know you can be a man of your word, so you don't end up down in the courthouse. You know what I mean? So they agreed, and I can honestly say I never had any problem with her threatening to take me to child support, do none of that kind of stuff, because I did exactly what I was going to say. And your mama made sure I did, and made sure that he had whatever he needed. And when y'all came along, if y'all got bicycles and Nintendo, he had the same thing. So it was always understood that they were just as well loved as you were.
Okay.
It takes time and patience, and it takes a lot of time for some people to outgrow stuff.
Man.
Yes. Javon says it's called maturity. Please be a man of your word. That's good, sir. Tremaine is on your side, man, saying that's right.
One thing really quick, something Brian said also, with Sharita also, she always made sure that my daughter had everything too. I couldn't leave her out of anything. So, she helped a lot with that too. So it's important. Once you're on board, you're on board.
And another thing is, and you have to keep it open. So Kairos was never not invited with me going over there. But she would choose sometimes to sit in the car or to wait. And if I go over there, I got something to say, I'm going to be in the house for a little while.
Not that long.
And my son's grandparents, they loved her to death. All of them loved her to death. But she was like, no, I'm going to sit out in this car. So, it takes us a lot of time and patience and understanding and prayer. And I wasn't a big praying guy back then. But it takes a lot of it to get on the same board, on the same page when you deal with blended families.
Okay. Well, Pastor Carson, what's your take? Because Deacon B, but I think what you're saying is great. And to be honest, I'm blessed to have you and Jermaine on the show. And Jermaine, we love you and we miss you. But that's something that has always been a concern for me, is you never know how the middle person would operate, because I love kids. Anyone who follows my page or Instagram, I'm like trying to be Aunt 101, Godparent 101, youth pastor. But I've always been more concerned about the other person. It's not the child. It was always the other individual. So it's good to see that there are men in the earth who can, not go and dibble and dabble, because you do hear so many trauma stories about how that visit turned into a second child, or whatever, the diaper dropped off turned to something else, exactly. and that's real. I don't know if you showed up right, but we're gonna get your side. But it's really Sharita, you know her, and we all do. But it's comforting for me as a single woman to hear that was something that's possible, that's something that's doable. Because the other party has always been my concern, which was I was like, But I'm blessed to know you all and to know you men that you're honorable and upright. So not saying y'all are perfect, but I'm thankful. Pastor Kairos, go ahead.
Hold on. Well, I would say, Bree, really, since you're a single woman, having a child is never bad, you know what I mean? But it is sometimes a mistake, an unplanned situation. But there are a lot of guys out here that's taking care of their responsibilities with kids that are still could be the right guy. You know what I mean? Situations came up, something happened, who knows?
They didn't just fall into it now.
No.
You know that 2 plus 2 could equal 2 plus 2 could equal 3. So
no, some women are tricky. Sometimes the contraceptive wasn't taken correctly. Sometimes something happened. There's some tricky women out there can trap some people.
That's true, but you gotta stay out the trap. Okay.
You can't always stay out the trap. You can't always stay out the trap.
I think this is going awry.
You can't always say Jesus. You can't always say. Okay, well, I guess sometimes people just fall. yeah, y'all just fell into the trap. Anyways, okay.
Mhm.
Pastor Karis.
No.
I don't even know if I can recuperate from that. I don't know. Oh my God.
What was your take of the fall into the trap? Because Daddy was saying "Meet Me in the Trap" is going down. So anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
I will say that because I was so young, I had envisioned that I would be married with no kids and all this stuff. So we dated, broke up, got back together. He has a kid now. So now I got to figure all this stuff out and maneuver it. And I did a horrible job at it. I'm young. I didn't want no kids. I wasn't trying to have it. I wasn't trying to get along and do much of nothing. I'm just telling the truth. And it was a struggle, and it was really bad. It was horrible.
Hell.
It's her turn. It's her turn. It's her turn, Deacon B.
Okay.
You said,
Jesus. Anyway, by me being so young and immature and how all things came about, it was just really difficult for me. The whole process was bad for me. And by it being bad for me, I made it bad for everybody else. I made it bad for him. I made it bad for the little baby. I made it bad for the mama. I made it bad for everybody because I didn't want it to happen the way it happened. And so it just took me forever to really get myself together, And my grandma, my mom, everybody kept talking to me. And my mom would say, because we hadn't gotten married yet or anything. And my mom would say, those kids don't go anywhere. They're going to be there forever. And if you get married, they're going to be there and they're going to have kids and they're going to have grandkids and you're going to go to graduations and parties and all this stuff. And she would say, think about, what you're doing. But see, I had a problem where don't nobody tell me to think about something.
Yeah.
I need to get this thing straight. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to stay here and make everybody's life miserable. So it took a long time. So it did. I'm just being honest. It was bad. And it took a long time for me to actually get it together. So I'm not going to sit here and lie and act like it didn't. He's little brother's a grown man and he can tell you I was rough with him. And he was sometimes like, she doesn't treat me like I treated y'all all the time. And sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. It just depended on what was going through my mind at the time. So you got to call a spade a spade. That's what I did, and that's how I acted.
Well, I can respect that because now y'all have a good relationship, but you can see that it did take maturity and growth. And I can't say that. But the thing is this, and what I appreciate your honesty, and while I appreciate it, this is a word to the wise is. If you already go into a situation, that's like being me personally, a guy in the military is not my thing. I don't want to be signed up to be a possible single parent depending on these deployments. So I don't date men in the military because I want someone that's around. I can't get into a relationship and then be upset at your profession and I came in knowing. So I can't be upset because I chose to stay. So how do you how would you all help a young guy or a young lady navigate, and everyone please take this, in those situations where they really love the person, but now there's been possible infidelity, or they have a child and the child's not the nicest, or there's drama on the other side, but they really love the person and don't want to miss out on that factor. How do you handle that, or what advice could you give someone? Sharita and Jermaine, if y'all would take this. Well, let's do Sharita, Pastor Karis, and then we're going to hear from the guys, and we'll go ladies and then the men.
Okay. For me, I just feel like the best way to, if you really want to be in the relationship, is you just have to make a choice that the child is a part of this person that you love. And I found that's what I had to do for myself. Like this child is a part of him. I want to be with him. And I think it depends too on, how much you really care about the person, and so you make a choice to, and like Pastor Kyra said, it's not easy. It does take some adjusting. It does take some navigating. It does take some changing of your mindset. It takes some maturing. But I think if you stick with it and you really try to do what's right, and you don't just focus on yourself and being selfish. And because that was a part of my issue too, is like going into it, recognizing that, I had this picture painted of what I, wanted my life to look like as well. And that wasn't a part of it. And I didn't want to have to share him with anybody, or, have to even say that I have a stepchild, But I think when you really try to embrace the child, accept the situation for what it is, do the best you can. And like Pastor Kyra said, every session or every weekend when we had the child, it wasn't that I was just, jumping up and clicking my heels about, but it was, okay, I'm thinking about her. What are some things we can do together as a family? And I just think over time you adjust, you learn to love the child, and then the unit becomes blended. And then the other thing that really helped me too was when I had my own children, because it was different for me. I didn't have children. I didn't know what it was like to be a mother or have a child. So I really think that, just taking that time to adjust, being patient with yourself, but also recognizing that this is a choice. And if you can't love the child, then you just need to decide that, you're going to move on, because you cannot be with that person, and not unless you just want to make everybody's life miserable. And you
Pastor
don't
Kyra.
to look back and look back and just say, this was just a horrible mistake, or just, just a terrible decision. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You just got to choose. I mean, just like forgiveness, you got to make a choice, and then you work towards it. And over time, I feel like it gets better. You get adjusted, and you just learn to love the way you should.
I don't know. That's good, Sharita. Okay, so Sharita, you came into the situation and Jermaine already had a child. Lulu, how did you adjust? Like, what's some advice you would give to a young lady? And you had children and Jermaine had children. So how would you advise someone to handle that from both of y'all having children in past relationships?
One thing I learned with just being a mother myself, and then now being a mother to a blended, set of boys, was just communicating with Jermaine, letting him know. So instead of me, if I felt like they did something wrong, or they did something, like I asked them to do something, they just deliberately didn't listen to me, instead of me going over there and saying something, because I never had an issue. It's funny that we're here because I did not want to marry a man or be with a man that had kids, but in the midst
of you had kids.
Right. But I never, ever felt ill intentions toward the child, ever. Like,
okay.
I was more so mad at the fact that he had to always go over there and, bring them whatever it is they need. That was my biggest thing. So the children wasn't a problem. But if they didn't listen or didn't do something that I asked them to do, I would just go to Tremaine, because I found that when I said something, they just looked at me like I was crazy. So it's Tremaine having to step in and say, hey, this is your stepmom, or this is your mother. This is Mama Lulu. You're going to respect her. When she asks you to do something, he had to take the stand, because I can say what I want to say and tell him what I want to tell him. But if he's not stepping in saying, this is how it's going to be in this house while you're staying here, then we're going to have a problem, because this is my wife, and you will listen to her. So it was right off the back. Tremaine made it very clear to the boys, to my other two boys, that listen, this is Mama Lulu, but you will respect her like she is me, or like she's your mother, because she is your mother while you're in this house.
Okay.
And he'll tell him, he always said to him, you don't get to choose the family you're born into, but you get to choose your attitude towards that, like that situation, that choice of being part of
the dynamics of your family
and all that. So I would say it was just more communicating with Tremaine, let him know if I had an issue or I felt something was not addressed, letting him know about it. And I don't think I've ever had an issue with him ever not really putting his foot down when it came to either one of our kids, all 7 of them, but more so even just the ones that I did not birth. So that was me. It was on top of choosing me choosing, like Sharia said, choosing to, hey, I ain't want this. but I knew about it, and so now either you're going to choose to love or you're going to choose to leave. What are you going to do? And so I chose to love and chose to just communicate that with your man. Let him know, like, this is hard for me. It's not easy for me to, raise children that are not mine, because I don't get to do what I can, but I can do how I do my children. And he understood that. And so we just kind of like, communicate that again, with each other. And that's how we got through just even that whole dynamic of just having a blended family. And then us even communicating behind doors about how we need to go about discipline, how we're going to go about different things, how we're going to go about chores, what we're going to do, what we're not going to do. And to this day, my boys are amazing. Like, they're just great boys all around the board.
That's a blessing. So you talk to the parents. So if it's a single woman or two single people with children, communicating with the spouse and making sure your spouse is saying, hey, you need to respect the opposite party. Pastor Kairos, asking the question about good advice. So basically, pride kind of drove you to stay, and I'm being for real. Pride really drove you to stay, and it wasn't like, was it love or like what how did you, because my God, I don't even know how to ask this question, because you just tried to make daddy's life hell. But anyway, because anger and frustration, because y'all had a breakup and then there was a break in the middle, and that, and then you came back together. So that dynamic is interesting, because there's something happening in between the break. And to be honest, we all know when you really break up with someone, there's still hope, because you're not really done. This when you slam the door and you hope they're running after you and they don't, and they meet somebody in the trap, and then the trap. You know what I'm saying? So, then you come back from the trap because you were trapped. But anyway, but in all honesty, how would you advise someone who was in that situation, that where there was a breakup or you really love that person, but there's a negative force that's forcing you to be there, or that's pushing and driving you, because that's real for people. Like, just determination of being like, I'm gonna make this work, and being upset, and your heart posture being opposite of, oh, I'm gonna make this work because this is where I want to be. How would you help someone kind of break free from that kind of mindset?
I mean, it's tough. But I mean, it took a lot of talking to my mom and my grandma, just trying to talk this thing through. And then, just saying over and over, my uncles as well, just saying over and over, if you're going to marry him, you're going to have to love this child. And the only thing I could do really is like look back at my own life. Is my mom got married, and when she did, it was a blended family. My dad got married, and it was a blended family. And I do remember one good advice that my father really gave me, but I didn't really think it was good advice at the time, is he said when he got married, he asked, Renee, his wife, he said, look, if you're going to marry me, you need to know at one point, if anything happens to their mother, those kids are going to have to come live with me. So would you be able to handle that? And so he was, saying to me that if anything like that happened, would you be able to handle it? And so that was, something to really think about. You got to think about, is this what you want for the long haul? Are you really in it for real? And do you love that person enough to know that I might have to take care of those kids more than every other weekend, once a month, once every 6 months, or whenever? And so that was something to think about. But I think, but what is really bad, I'm just going to say it. My grandma said to me, because I would say to her, you never prayed for me. We had a house, but you never prayed for me to get a house. And I want to move. And you pray for everybody else to get a house, and they get a house. Why don't you ever pray for me to get a house? She said, because if I pray for you to get a house, his son is going to come there to live. And eventually he'll get married and he'll have children, and they'll come there. And the way you act and the way your heart still ain't right, there's no need for you to have a house, because you're going to treat them bad. It's not going to work. It's going to be a lot of turmoil. That really set me off. And I'm like, I can't have this thing right here messing me up from my destiny or promise or whatever I'm supposed to have. So I really had to look at myself and get my heart together, because I'm stopping everybody from having a future. Now I'm making a decision to keep me in a desert place or keep me from prospering, because I can't fix something and I can't change. And the thing is, I've been the person that's been in a blended family where I didn't feel wanted or I didn't feel like I belonged. So I don't understand why, for some reason, I just blotted all that out. But the Holy
Yeah.
Spirit really brought that to my attention and said, how do you feel when you're not, in the pictures? How do you feel when you go and you're not included in stuff? That's the same way you're making this kid feel. So I really had to get myself together and put myself in that child's place, besides, keeping my house from coming, but to put myself in that child's place. And I wouldn't want that on anybody, and so that's what I ended up having to really come to terms with, of how I was treating him, where you're getting treated the exact same way, and now you're doing it to him and you're putting it on him. So I would say you have to make up your mind that if you really love that person and you're in there for the long haul, that it's important to work through things, to have the conversation and the insecurities. And where you're insecure with them going over there, dropping off them diapers and milk and whatever, get in the car and go to, or send that money so they can go to the store, because their store is right down the street from their house too.
Yeah.
So that's
I did want to say, Bree, real quick.
The words of the wise.
Right.
They can go to
Also,
the store
just,
too.
real quick, another thing is that I found that really helped, even with this, just the whole blended situation. I used to always let my kids go to their grandmothers every weekend. Would go to grandma's house. So Tremaine never really had. This is not, we talk about my kids. He never really had that relationship built with them, because they're always gone every weekend, and so during the week they're in school, so they really ain't having too much conversation with him. But he was one that was like, listen, if you want this to work, this whole, having a, for one, Giovanni could not get over the fact that that was his coach, his football coach, and I was with the football coach. So that was one of the biggest.
I didn't know. We gonna girl.
there's a lot on tonight about Lulu.
It's so cute.
He could not have.
I've known her for 8 years, I think.
Sometimes the coach is cute.
Right. So he could not, when he found out, he was distraught. Oh my God. And so I would let him go every weekend to his grandma's house. And so Tremaine was like, listen, if we're gonna make this work where you're gonna trust me more with the kids and I'm gonna trust you, they have to be in the home for me to be able to build the relationship, so you can see how we interact with you. So crazy with you and the kids, and vice versa, me and your kids. And I was like, oh, okay. So I stopped Gio going every weekend. He would leave, and oh my God, that was like all hell broke loose. Giovanni was just upset, but it did. That was something that Tremaine told me. So I never thought about, well, how can they build a relationship if they're never home? They're always gone. And how am I going to trust Tremaine on discipline, or, vice versa, if he doesn't see how I interact with him on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, however they are to come to the house. So that's another thing I just want to put out there, is that they have to build that relationship, and for them to build it, they have to be in the home. And so even I'm sure, Tremaine's one of his boys didn't really like to come over that much to our house because it's a little bit small. That's a lot of kids in one house, y'all. Let's be real. But Tremaine was like, no, you're going to come, and you're going to keep coming until I say you don't have to come no more. And so that's just how it went. So he forced his 20-year-old, and I forced my 20-year-old to be in the same house with each other, the parents wise, so they can see how we interact with one another, and how we interact with the children themselves. So that's one thing that I really think was super important.
That's good. I think those are good takes from the ladies. Guys, what's some real advice, especially because y'all have been in this situation and have had to be the man on both sides, the dad in two different places. Like, how would you help a young guy? Like, Jermaine, what's something you would tell a young guy who's been in this situation, or if this was your daughter, who's getting ready to date a guy who has a child? What's some advice you would give?
It's tough actually, because you think about, not saying one way is right or not, but you kind of, from growing up, you think it should be one way. You get married, you have kids together, and happy family. So I think, like you were saying, and what Brian actually was saying, there could be some can happen in the past, a slip up here, there. That doesn't change a person's, what they're about. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean they're not a good person. But I think it's funny what Kyra said, you have to really look at yourself and say, hey, if something happens to the mother or the father, are you willing to, take this kid on and live with you 24/7? So I think just looking at it, being open and honest with yourself, knowing that, this is for the long haul. It's not it's not just a weekend, every other weekend. It's, it's kind of forever. So no, not kind of. It is forever, not kind of, but yeah. But yeah, just being like really open and honest about the
But she said,
long term.
How would you tell somebody to how would you navigate between households?
He said, you got to be okay with it being forever.
Yeah.
But no, for a young man, how could you help keep them integral? Or what's a piece of advice you could tell them on how to stay out of that? Because let's be real, and this is something I want Deacon B to be thinking about. Sometimes the other woman or the mother of your child gets jealous when they see you with another person. So how do you help them kind of navigate or really stay out of ruining what they have now by dibbling and dabbling in the past? Because that's a real situation, and people want something, be like, dang, you cuter now. Oh, you get a new girlfriend, you start going to the gym, you done lost weight, you're doing things for this woman that you never did for me. And they really could have been a one night stand. So you don't get the roses and the balloons and the cards because why? We was in the trap for one night, it happened.
Right.
No, but seriously, because or someone thinks you're doing well, or you have a family now, and it's not just oh, that's my baby daddy, oh, that's my baby mom, or oh, now someone sees you as a family man, and family men are attractive, which is why there's so many home wreckers out there, because women want an already made man. And even though y'all haven't been perfect, that looks like a man who's okay settling down and okay being integral and making an honest woman out of someone. So how would you help a young guy not fall back into that?
That's good.
I think you have to be careful. I think you have to make it clear, with your wife or girlfriend about what the relationship is. Don't put yourself in situations that aren't ideal. I mean, don't go over there on a Saturday night at 12 o'clock at night. I mean, have your wife join you on, if you're dropping off diapers, what have you, have her join you, just to be clear in what the relationship is with the mother of your child is, and to be clear that your wife and they both understand, what it is. And, the flesh is weak with some men, but, if you want to make it work, that your wife has to know that what your intentions are, and that you will not, fall in a trap, that you can be trusted. Yeah, you can be trusted. It's about trust as well. Good. And just being open in what you're doing, not hiding, not, what's going on. So
that's good. Okay, that was really good. Okay, Deacon B, what's something that you would tell a young guy who's maybe struggling, like, or is getting ready to fall back into a situation that could really ruin their relationship? How would you kind of pull somebody back out and be like, look, or what advice could you give them to keep them? Because you go pick up the kid and all of a sudden now they dressed in lingerie and it's not even Valentine's Day, and all of a sudden but let's be real, Sharita's face. That's right. But really, they start doing extra stuff, and all of a sudden they can't pick up the car seat and they need you to do it. Or the light bulb.
Yes.
Well, what I always say, what happened with me was I made sure that everybody was on board. And the baby mama was really in check, because I didn't want to make no waves, because sometimes you make waves and they know you have somebody else, like you said, they're going to try to start trouble, So I try not to leave a relationship in a bad way.
Okay.
And there's some guys out here that think, I'm the man, I'm going to lay you out, cuss you out or whatever, and you out of my life. That's the wrong way to go about it. You have to realize that regardless of what she is to you now, at some point she was someone special. And you have to let her know that you're a person, I care about you. I want you to have a happy life, do well. You know what I mean? You can find someone else.
Care about their well-being.
Exactly. So you have to let them know if you're going to find someone else, it's going to be okay. we just not gonna work out. You know, so, and that's the way you have to take it, because if you go out here and make these women mad, they get crazy. You know, and next thing you know, you're in court. And it could have been resolved without the court situation, and it could have been a more pleasant atmosphere. Like you said, Kairos was invited in the house all the time. You know what I mean? They loved and asked about it all the time.
They did not love me.
It was not them. It was not the other person. I'm telling you. So
You're so naive.
No, I'm saying.
Kai, ignorance is bliss. We're gonna let Deacon B be happy right now.
That's not gray. That's blonde right now.
She had her child. No, I'm just telling you the straight out truth. Nothing negative was ever happened. So to the guys out here right now, if you have a child and you're not married, but you have a baby mama because you're dating someone else and situation going to rise, you have to calm down and really try to talk sense into both parties. If you've been a decent man, they know, because they're mad because they're losing a decent man. You know what I mean? So you have to let them know that there's other people out here, but you still have to carry yourself with respect. I mean, I remember my son's mom was dating some guys. I didn't care if she was dating some guys. And they can't care. You know, some guys get an attitude because now they're dating someone else. So not only do I have my cake, I want you to be in check over here. You know? And
that's good.
I never had a problem with that, because the only thing I had a problem with, they was over there smoking in the house. I say, hey, y'all can't be smoking around my kid. I don't care who she date, what you date, but you got to do that outside. And I'd be over their house. You know, I'm not going to have that, you know? So you have to carry yourself in a way that they know you appreciate things, you're respectful, but at any time, you know, things will go south.
What?
They go south. They go south when you deal with your kid. I'm telling you, when someone you're doing wrong by your kid, and what I really hate is when someone calls someone a step. This is not your stepmom. I teach their Kairos all the time. You're the mom. When he's here, you're the mom. You're not a stepmom. I don't see her family as my step or my mother-in-law. And this
right, Terry Benjamin. You can't run two homes.
She's my no. I wasn't running to him, but I'm gonna support my kid and make sure the best.
He's looking out for his son and make sure he didn't get secondhand smoke.
My son in there who can't for himself, they got to go. I don't care what house I'm in.
Oh my God,
they got to go.
Okay, well, he's protecting his child, but that's still a good man, because you're not going to treat my child or
they're gonna quit that smoke.
Okay.
You know,
Pastor Kairos, where did you go? You come back.
Together.
No, but I agree with what you're saying. You're still attempting to look out. You're still trying to keep the peace. Just like Jermaine said, these children aren't going anywhere, so you do have to still get along and keep everyone in the loop. And it's just important to be on one accord and be on the same page. And I just really think it's interesting, and I guess every family handles things differently. And the dynamics are definitely different. The situations are different. And you may end up never having to live with a child. You may not see them until they get older or whatever the case is, but you do have to always be ready. You know, that's a possibility. And I appreciate everyone's take tonight. And I'm really praying and believing that this has helped someone, because a lot of times this is unfamiliar territory. Having a child in general is unfamiliar territory, but then having someone else's child around is unfamiliar territory, and having someone new around your child it's tough. And it's just trying to navigate rough seas some days, and some days of sunshine, and so I really wanted to just bring you all on to just give some advice, and just give some wisdom, because this is something that people struggle with, or that people are really afraid of, or have a sincere, honest fear. And growing up for me, just as a child who had an older brother, and I know Deacon B is saying step, but that's the way that America says it. That's the dynamics. And it doesn't mean you treat them terrible, because it's just explaining how this child has come along, if that's not your biological child. But everybody hears things differently and feels differently about different titles. But for me, it was an honest fear when I was younger, because I'm like, Lord, they are crazy about this thing. It did not go over well. It was just I saw my brother during the summertime. And so for the kid, it's kind of like you don't know. And then you grow up to be a woman, which is me now. And you're like, And so I could be missing a blessing because of what the questions I didn't ask, or the situations and, information I wasn't privy to, or I didn't get to see how it could be blissful. You know, you don't, that's not everybody's testimony. And so they shy away from something. So I'm just thankful that you all and accepted my invitation to come on and just really came on to bless some people. Are there any last words or anything that anybody wanted to say before we closed out?
Okay. I would say that you just have to make sure that the mother or the stepmom or whatever you want to call them, whatever they are, you just have to make sure that they're secure in the situation, that they know their role. They know that nobody's, you know, you're not trying to be with the baby mama. You're not trying to, you know, you're happy in your relationship with them. If, you know, if you're married, you're happy in this marriage. And make that person feel secure, because I think everything that happened to me was because of insecurity. So I really feel like the biggest thing is just to make that person secure. I don't want that person anymore. All I do is care about my kid. And to me, I think that's that probably was the number one thing that I didn't feel. So if I had felt something like that, then right. But if I had felt something like that, then I would things might have been a little bit smoother. I don't know, you know, besides us wanting to fight.
I told her the exact words.
What were the exact words?
I don't want her. I'm here with you, but I gotta take care of my son. So what up? My take is on this thing to tell people: if you're dating someone, man, a boy or girl, if the guy has a girl or the guy has a kid or the woman has a child, if they don't want to spend time and get to know that child, that's the wrong person. Because that child's gonna grow up, become an adult, and they're gonna remember that you didn't want them in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that you dating someone, they have a child, I'm not saying try to be the mom or the dad, but make sure you spend time and be a close friend to that child.
But I would say one other thing too, because of the way I acted, you know, immature and all this other, you know, all the other things that I did during the growing up of little bruh, of his son, you know, our son, all that. I actually had to apologize to him one day. He's older, and I'm just cleaning out the refrigerator, and he says to me, you know, I never did understand why you might take Bree, Indy, and Aaron to the movies, but I had to go to the shop with Daddy. I never understood that would happen sometime. And, you know, then it was like a knife. I was like, you know, whatever. But I had to honestly just turn around and just tell him I was in a horrible place. I didn't feel like this person was helping me with the 3 I had at the time. So I sure didn't want a 4th one.
It's a different night, Daddy.
I know,
Go
but
ahead,
no. But I did have to explain that to him. And I just really apologized to him and just really said, I am just so sorry that I ever treated you that way. And it was horrible of me doing that. You know, please forgive me. And I'm thinking, you know, all this is water under the bridge. But when he said it, it just wasn't, you know, and I just had to make sure I apologized to tell him that, you know, I loved him no matter what, you know, and I was sorry that I was immature and just didn't know how to handle the situation.
That's good.
Yeah,
that was good. That was really good.
More than just it is. I definitely agree with PK. It's more than you know, just telling me. You also have to show me, because that was a big thing. Tremaine I never went with him to his baby mama's house. I mean, maybe it picked him up, but like if he had to go, like let's say one of the moms called and was like, oh, they're acting up, what, he ain't never take me over there to show me that, listen, this is what it is, because I definitely didn't trust the baby mamas. And although I was supposed to trust Tremaine, I know females, and like you said, Bree, a family man is a man that everybody wants, because
they be looking right.
Right.
They looking right, like
so perfect, but they don't know the sacrifice that came behind this man being. It's a sacrifice that we both made to become who we are today. So it's not just telling me, babe, I love you. It's only you. It's showing me. It's showing me that you really have to, especially for someone who was as immature as PK, because that's tough. We've been through hurt, and sometimes we look to y'all, not fair, but it's not gonna kill y'all to say, hey, you know what? Come on, we'll go together and we'll do this together. And if we decide not to go, then you can't come back and say, well, you ain't never invite me. No, you did. I just preferred not to go. So I will say it's more than just telling me, it's also showing me that, hey, this is who I want to be with, is you, not them two, or vice versa. Because girl, they will call him all kinds of night, tell me something, they acting up and he need to come talk to him. At 9 o'clock at night, I'm sorry, why we ain't give a call at 4 or 5? Why we doing it now? And y'all ain't see me in that car, but I should have did what you did, PK, and rolled up on them. That's what I should
No,
have.
I'm glad you didn't, Lulu. Thank God. No, you just got to be better. Be better. Just praise the Lord.
But she was
Good to
invited.
go.
Yeah. And I think
When I knew about it, when it was good for me to know. When it was one of those times, it was good for me to know, the need to know base. So go ahead, Bree.
Lord, God, Father. Sharita and Jermaine Church, did you guys have any last words y'all wanted to say? Did you guys have any last words?
I just feel like communication is just,
yes,
just key in terms of, just sharing your feelings, how you feel, making sure that you know what, the other person, the child's parent is doing. And also making sure to include the child, because unfortunately in these situations, it is the children that suffer when they're, when all this stuff, these blended families are being blended. Oftentimes the children are kind of, they're taking a hit. They're taking a hit while we're trying to figure out, how we want to handle it, how things need to be handled. So I think just, communication, and just trying to keep the child at the forefront.
That's good.
Two other.
Go ahead.
Just trust is obviously important, and just transparency in your relationship with the child's other parents. So those things are important.
Yes,
that's good. I think that was all good. And Sharita, you just said something really profound that just resonated with my heart, because really children who come from broken homes or out of wedlock, that's already the enemy's objection. That's step one of rejection. And then you get involved with another parent, or your single parent gets married, and instead of saying, wow, I've got a blessing and it's a family, if that person doesn't accept you, that's a step 2 of rejection. And so you've been rejected twice in a place where love should have been cultivated. And so one thing I can say about Sharita and about Lulu is that they have really, just watching, and they don't know this is probably the first time they're hearing this tonight, but I think they've been great additions and to their children's or their spouse's children's lives. And just being around when their spouse's child might have been around, that they weren't born to them innately, you wouldn't know with how they interact and how they include them. And so I think that that's great, and I commend you too for that. My mom now is crazy about them, and she might go visit them and daddy be at work. I don't, like, my mom will talk to them probably, I don't know, Dad, you gotta call people more, because he was just busy. He is busy and he's talking to people while you talking to him. So I don't even call him during the work day. Little bruh, we already know how he is, but in all honesty, there's so many different levels where you're rejected once and then rejected again. And so I really commend you two, and Pastor Kairos, just even your apology. Jermaine Church, you just for being honest, transparent. Deacon B, for you growing and just putting your foot down. I think that's great for the men to say, hey, this is what it is, and you're going to be respectful in my household and act right towards your mom too. We needed to hear that tonight, and I really pray that this conversation has healed some people. We're going to go ahead and pray out, and I'm going to cut these good people loose for the night. Lord, we just thank you. We honor you. We love you, Lord. I just thank you right now. I pray that this brought healing to someone, that this encouraged someone to maybe reconcile with a child or with a parent, Lord, that the enemy would not have his way, for the singles to have fear and anxiety about what's to come if there is a blessed child present, because you said children are gifts from the Lord God, and that's every child. So we just thank you right now, Lord, for just letting the children that would be considered stepchildren or not, maybe didn't come from a 2-parent home, that you would just mend their hearts, oh God, with golden strings, that we just cast out rejection and fear and anxiety right now in the name of Jesus. Any wounds that even took place with the spouses, God, the people that are under the sound of my voice from blended families and blended marriages, God, that you would heal them, that you would restore and redeem, because we know you to be just that and even more, God. We thank you for all that you've done, all that you're going to do, that this word would just go out and do what only your word and the Holy Spirit can do, God, and just mend and heal, oh God, and restore, and just bring living waters, oh God, and fresh bread of life to people who are just missing out, Lord. We just thank you for all that you've done, all that you're going to do, and just blessing us and keeping us. And if anybody doesn't know the Lord tonight, you just repeat after me. Lord, I just make you my Lord and Savior. I believe that you bled and died on the cross for me. Come into my life and do something with it. I'm never going to miss a moment for a call to salvation, but I love you guys, and I pray that this bless you like it blessed me. Thank you so much for everyone who came on tonight and just really spoke wisdom and honest and truth. And I love y'all. We'll see you again next week right here, Tuesday at 7 o'clock live. Bye.
Simple love. It's the back rubs and kisses in the evening, and the silly things you say just to make me laugh. Look me in the eyes and say you'll never leave me. Give me love, give me a girl. Yeah. It's my t-shirt you wear when